Ukraine's decision to invade Russia has left many in shock. After months of defending its own borders, Ukraine's sudden shift in strategy has raised numerous questions. Why now? What prompted this bold move? Today, we'll dive deep into the key factors behind Ukraine's surprising offensive and the impact it could have on the course of the war. Get ready, because the answers may not be as simple as they seem. Before we start, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters, and we'd love to hear what you think about this unexpected turn of events. Topic 1. The strategic calculations of Ukraine. Ukraine's decision to invade Russian territory wasn't made overnight. After months of holding the line, Ukraine's military and political leadership recognized that a purely defensive stance wasn't enough to win the war. The invasion is a calculated risk, designed to shift the balance of power. Ukraine's leadership saw an opportunity. The Russian military was stretched thin, dealing with both internal issues and fighting on multiple fronts. Ukraine needed to capitalize on that. But invading Russia isn't just about military tactics, it's about messaging. By taking the fight to Russian soil, Ukraine is signaling both to its people and the international community that it's not just playing defense anymore. This move is intended to boost morale and send a clear message. Ukraine is ready to challenge Russia on its own terms. This is as much a psychological battle as it is a physical one. However, with this bold move come risks. Ukraine knows it could provoke an even harsher response from Moscow. But for Kyiv, this invasion is a chance to turn the tide of the war. And now, the big question remains: will this gamble pay off, or will it backfire? Topic 2. The role of Western allies. Ukraine's Western allies play a crucial role in this strategic decision. Since the beginning of the conflict, countries like the United States, the UK, and the European Union have offered military, financial, and diplomatic support to Ukraine. This support was essential to keep Ukraine's resistance strong, but invading Russia adds a new layer of complexity. Many wonder how far these allies will support such an offensive. While there has been a consensus among Western countries that Russia must be contained, the idea of an invasion into Russian territory is causing concern in some European capitals. There are fears that this could escalate the conflict to an uncontrollable level, drawing even more nations into a direct confrontation with Russia. On the other hand, some analysts argue that this invasion is a clear message. Ukraine, with Western support, is not just reacting, but taking the initiative to end the conflict once and for all. This support, however, doesn't come without conditions. Ukraine needs to show significant strategic victories to maintain the backing of its allies. Without those, there's a risk that Western countries may reduce their assistance or even shift their stance. So, this invasion is not just a military move, it's also a way to prove to the world that Ukraine, with the West on its side, can challenge even a superpower like Russia. Topic 3. The impact on the battlefield. Ukraine's invasion into Russian territory has significantly changed the dynamics on the battlefield. Since the beginning of the conflict, Ukraine focused primarily on defense, but this new phase requires a complete restructuring of its tactics. Advancing on Russian soil involves immense risks, from extending supply lines to being exposed to Russian attacks in unfamiliar areas. The question now is, how is Ukraine handling these challenges? First, there's a shift in posture. Ukraine, which for so long saw itself as the more vulnerable side, is now adopting an offensive stance. This requires a new military strategy, with intensive use of intelligence, drones, and advanced technology, much of which is provided by its allies. Additionally, continuous troop training is essential to ensure they can face Russian forces in enemy territory, where those forces are far more familiar with the terrain. But the difficulties are many. Logistically, maintaining advancing troops across Russia's vast territory is a nightmare. Every kilometer Ukraine's forces gain could be lost quickly without a solid support structure. Moreover, the weather and terrain constantly challenge military operations, forcing Ukraine to adjust its tactics at every step. Even so, Ukraine continues to push forward, and the question remains, how far can they go before Russia reorganizes its defenses? Topic 4. Russia's response to the invasion. Russia's reaction to Ukraine's invasion has been closely watched by analysts worldwide. After months of fighting within its own borders, Russia now faces the challenge of defending its homeland against an enemy that has decided to bring the war to its doorstep. Moscow's initial response was, as expected, to harden its stance. The Russian government announced an intensification of military operations and the mobilization of more troops to try to contain Ukraine's advance. However, there's a dilemma within Russia itself. With an economy weakened by sanctions and the emotional toll on the population after months of war, the country's ability to sustain a prolonged response is in question. The Kremlin faces the challenge of maintaining popular support while dealing with internal pressures to end the conflict. At the same time, there are rumors that Russian military leaders are divided on the best strategy, a massive counteroffensive or a more defensive approach, hoping Ukraine will wear itself out over time. One thing is clear, Russia won't sit idly by. History shows that Moscow doesn't hesitate to respond forcefully to any perceived threat to its territory. The coming weeks will be decisive in understanding how far the Russian government is willing to go to regain control of the situation. And this uncertainty raises a critical question. What will Russia do next to turn the tide? Topic 5. Global repercussions. Ukraine's invasion into Russian territory doesn't just affect the countries directly involved in the conflict. The global repercussions of this move are being felt in different parts of the world, from political capitals to financial markets. One of the major international concerns is how this invasion could further destabilize global security. With two powers in direct conflict, the risk of a broader war involving other nations cannot be dismissed. NATO countries, for example, find themselves in a delicate position. While they have supported Ukraine, there's a growing fear that this escalation could lead to a direct confrontation with Russia. Meanwhile, traditionally neutral countries like China are closely watching the developments, calculating their own strategies. Beijing, in particular, has a vested interest in understanding how this conflict might impact its stance on Taiwan and its relationship with the West. Meanwhile, global markets are reacting. The instability caused by this invasion has driven up oil and gas prices, raising concerns in countries that depend on Russian energy. The global economy, already shaken by the war's effects, could face new challenges if the conflict drags on or takes unexpected turns. With that, one big question lingers. What does this invasion really mean for the future of the global order? Conclusion. Thanks for sticking with us till the end. Ukraine's invasion of Russia is an event that defies expectations and could reshape the course of the war. There are still many unanswered questions, but one thing is certain: the world is watching, and the next steps will be crucial to understanding the impact of this bold move. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know your thoughts on the developments of this invasion.